Okay, good morning. I am going to go over graphing quadratic equations. This goes along with section 2.2.7. Um, so I'm going to show you guys how to use the graphing tool on MathXL as well. So I want to graph this f of x equals x squared minus 6. So I would click on this, click to enlarge graph, and then I'm going to grab this parabola going up and down here. And then if you recall from the last video, if we had just y equals x squared, it would look like that. So that graph right there is y equals x squared. So let me read over what it asks us to do here, because it doesn't just ask us to graph this parabola. It says sketch the graph of the quadratic function and the axis of symmetry. So we're not just doing the quadratic function. I'm going to put in the axis of symmetry. State the vertex and give the equation for the axis of symmetry. So there are a few things we want to do here. The first of which is graphing that parabola. So what I have here is y equals x squared. That's the most kind of basic starting point for a parabola. But then this one asks us to do x squared minus 6. So what does that minus 6 do to our parabola? Well, we could always plug that into a t-chart and see how it affects our points. But I'm going to give you a spoiler here and tell you that it moves it down 6 spaces. Okay, so we move it down 6 spaces there. But recall, this does not just ask us to do the parabola, it asks us to do a line of symmetry. Okay, so a line of symmetry is just going to be, we're going to use our line feature, and it wants it to be a dashed line. So I'm going to click on dashed. And then it's the line that splits the parabola into 2 equal halves. So with that, I will select save. So we did our parabola, we did our axis of symmetry. Now it's going to ask us for the vertex. So I'll check my answer down here. Okay. Then it says, what is the vertex? The vertex is this minimum point here at the very bottom, which is 0, -5. Okay, so we're going to identify that point, 0, -5. And oh, my bad. I didn't read that very carefully. 0, -6. I'm sorry, because we went down 6 spaces. It's early in the morning. Let me get a little bit of my coffee, get my brain going here. Okay, there we go. Then it's going to ask us for the axis of symmetry, the equation for that. So that equation goes straight up and down at x is equal to 0. So that is our axis of symmetry, x equals 0. So when x is 0, y can be anything. So it goes all the way up and down there. Okay. All right, so we're good. All right, I'm going to look at some different examples now to see what happens. Okay, so this one is similar, just x squared plus 2, so it would just go up 2. All right, now we have a 7 inside the parentheses here. So what does that -7 do? Well, anytime you're uncertain, always plug in a few points and see what your parabola looks like. I'm going to give you a spoiler again and saying when the -7 is inside the parentheses, it moves it left or right. So a -7 actually moves it the opposite way you think it would go. So it moves it in the +7 direction. So again, I'm going to start with our regular old parabola here. And before, when the number was outside the parentheses, we go up and down. Now we're going to go left or right. Okay, my lights went out here in the room. I'm going to turn them on real quick. Okay, as you can see, I'm back at school here. Okay, so instead of moving down 7, since the 7 is inside the parentheses, I'm going to move 7 in the positive direction. Okay, so if it were +7, I would move in the negative direction. Okay, and then again, we can't forget to put our axis of symmetry inside in there. So down the middle, and that point has to be a dotted line because that's what the directions say. Let's check our work and see if my coffee helped wake up my brain. Check answer. Okay, we're good. We still have to identify the vertex. The vertex here again is that minimum point here. That would be 7, 0. Okay, then we're going to have to, what is the equation for this axis of symmetry here? That's at x equals 7, and it goes directly up, so the equation would be x equals 7. Okay. All right, so we're good with that one. Let's kind of look and see what a couple of other things do here. That one's a similar one. It's going to go in the -7 direction. Okay, how about when we have both? Okay, so I'm going to start with our starting point. So we got a number outside the parentheses and a number inside the parentheses. So we start with our y equals x squared. And then what does the positive 6 outside the parentheses do? It tells us to move our parabola up 6 spaces. And what does the -7 inside the parentheses do? That tells us to go left or right. And remember, it's if it's a -7, then we move in the +7 direction. So I'm going to move, I think I moved it down, didn't I? Okay. All right, I hope I kept that. 4, 5, 6. I hope that's right. I need my glasses. Okay, so, and then we're going to put our line in. Our axis of symmetry here would be through the middle. We're going to make that a dotted line. Let's see if I was able to see that correctly. Okay, good. All right, and the vertex here is at 7, 7, 6. Over 7, up 6. Okay. All right. The axis of symmetry. That's at 7, so it'd be x equals 7. Okay, I'm going to look at one more example here. Okay. Okay, so those are all kind of similar. All right, so this one has a coefficient with our x squared. So what I should do is I should be writing this out in a T chart just to see where that first point goes. But if we have a regular parabola like this, and I plug in a 1 now. So remember, if I plugged in a 1 before, y equals x squared, y would be equal to 1 as well. But now we're multiplying it by 5. So that means our second point at x equals 1 is going to go up a lot higher. So it actually narrows it quite a bit. So I can plug in our first 2 points. When x equals 0, 0 squared is 0 times 5 is still 0. So we're still starting at that point. But now when I plug in a 1, x squared is 1, but now we have to multiply it by this 5 here. So that would give us, when x is 1, if you use your T chart, you would actually have your second point at 5 there. Okay, so that number in front of the coefficient, if it's greater than 1, is going to narrow your parabola. And if it's less than 1, like a half or a third or a fifth, it's actually going to widen it. But you're going to want to plug in those points on a T chart. I don't have my writing tablet right now, so I can't write that out. But if you have a question in class, just make sure you let me know, and I can have my writing tablet then. Okay, so again, we've still got to put the axis of symmetry in here. So I'm going to put the line. Okay, it's got to be a dotted line. And did I make that dotted? It's hard to tell. Okay, good. And then the vertex is at 0, 0 here. And that axis of symmetry is x is equal to 0. Okay, and that is all. Okay, so that should be enough to get you going on the assignment. If you get stuck on a problem, let me know. I will be available to help you. Good luck. See you in class.